Are you an Elly De La Show supporter? Would you want him on this Red Sox team? Is he a guy that's that impact bat that can make this Red Sox team and put him over the top? Or Elly not do it for you?
No, Elly does it for me. He might be the guy that I would be willing to trade Arias for. I think I keep Arias unless it's Elly. And I might be a little bit biased because Elly made me a lot of money stealing bases a couple of years ago. So I'm a little bit biased, but just the excitement he brings an automatic threat to the lineup that they just, like we said in earlier segments, they just don't have. And if you can sandwich him around Contreras and around Willier, I mean, that's a nice little 3-4-5 you can put together there. Roman comes back. Now you get a 2-3-4-5 or a 3-4-5-6. Now we've got a completely different lineup, and it's because you added Elly.
60-40, a Red Sox podcast. Big John and Sean, hot takes, special guest. This is 60-40. Hey.
Finally, we have returned to the studio. We are the most electrifying podcast in Red Sox Nation. I am your co-host, Big John. Alongside of me is Sean Bradley Jones. And together we are 64 Deep, a Red Sox podcast. Hey, Sean, guess what?
What?
We got a guest today.
I know. It's exciting.
I know you can't miss him. He's on the screen, so it's not that much of a surprise for you. But joining us today is Carl Hascall, CH, as he's affectionately known, lifelong New Englander, former co-host and coordinating producer at Cash Considerations, and the guy who moderates Red Sox Twitter. So when we say the fan base thinks this, he's the one who actually knows. CH, welcome.
How are you? How you doing, guys? Great to be here.
I mean, I think it's going to be a fun night, fun hour before the Red Sox go for the sweep of the Dodgers. We are on trade deadline eve, which is always fun. A couple of moves have already gone down. And then, I don't know about you guys, I'm tired. When it gets to our age, I mean, Sean's not there yet. Sean's a younger guy, CH, but when it gets to our age, you get up no matter what time it is. You go to bed 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm still up by 6:45. Is that how you are as well?
I've usually been up to pee a couple of times by 2 a.m., but yeah, that's exactly how it goes.
How about you, Sean? Can you actually sleep through the night and doesn't matter what time you go to bed? Are you up at a certain time every time?
It depends. It's hit or miss. Sometimes I do plan to sleep in and I look up and I won't say 6 a.m., but still I was hoping for a 10 a.m. and it turns into a 8 a.m. But I can still sleep in for the most part, mostly because I deprive myself of sleep during the week. So by the time it's the weekend, I'm so burnt out that I'm fiending for a 10-hour night. So
I promise you, give it enough time, that's gone, and you're going to hate it sucks, dude. It really does suck. I used to be like you in my early 30s, and I was like, what if I went to bed 2 a.m? I guess I can sleep into 9 or 10. I go to bed 2 a.m, I'm up at 7 no matter what. I'm exhausted. So count your blessings while you can now. If something happens when you turn 40 and your body changes, and you'll get there.
Yeah, fair enough.
So the Dodgers got spanked like a wet ham by the Boston Red Sox on Saturday night, threw a hissy fit, unlocked the Konami code, and had Tarek Skubal by the time the parking lot cleared. I mean, the Dodger fans, the rest of baseball can thank the Red Sox for exposing the weaknesses that are the LA Dodgers and making it well known that the Boston Red Sox are the best team in baseball. Amazing comeback. As I told you guys, I mean, CH knows this from my days on Twitter. I was never in doubt. I knew the Red Sox were the best team in baseball, and Craig Breslow was the best vice president of baseball operations that this league has ever seen, so I'm not shocked when it happens. But the way in which they're doing it, guys, and I'll go, Sean, to you first, and then CH to you afterwards. The way in which they're doing this is very impressive. We made the comment before, or at least I made the comment, Sean, you've agreed with me too, that I judge a team by their ability to come back and win games. If they're able to do that, that's how you know you have something special. They struggled with it last year. This year, screw coming back and winning games. They weren't winning games, but in July, they had 6 comeback wins by July 22nd and 10 plus, might be 11 at this point, including last night's game of being down in a game and coming back and winning it. What are your guys' thoughts on that one? Do you guys agree? Sean, you first. I mean, is the Red Sox coming back? Is this legit? Is this a team that will do this for the rest of the year? Or are we just watching Ceddanne Raphael and the rest of the team just getting hot?
It's probably somewhere in the middle, not to give the cop-out answer, but I do think that, I mean, one-run games, comebacks, late game heroics and stuff like that is very streaky one way or the other. We saw the first half of the year where we basically, if we were down by the 7th inning, we'd pretty much not even worth watching the rest of the game because it was a guaranteed loss at that point. So this is probably a little bit of law of averages coming back around. But to your point, I do think there is a little bit to say about general mojo of a team, general fight that they have. And I think they've become a resilient group since this win streak and just how they've been playing over the last month or so. I mean, they're 12-1 in their last 13 one-run games, which is I don't know how that sustainable that is, to my point. But yeah, I mean, it's encouraging. Like we talked about this a ton early in the season where they just weren't, it wasn't even fun to watch them play baseball because as soon as they went down 2 runs, it felt like the game was over. And it almost kind of feels the opposite now. Like that as soon as they go down by 1 run late in the game, and it kind of feels like it's only a matter of time before they come back. So, I don't, who knows how sustainable it's going to be. I tend to try to get not too high when they're winning a bunch of 1-run games and not too low when they're losing a bunch. I know, John, you like to kind of do the opposite a little bit. But we'll see. I do think they need reinforcements. The offense has been a lot better recently, but we've talked about this on previous episodes. Like, I still have concerns about the sustainability of it, and especially on the power front.
CH, I go to you for your take on it. I'm going to give you a little bit of some facts that I just quickly pulled up before you actually opine. So stranding runners was the defining flaw of this offense for 2 months. They sat near the bottom of the league with runners in scoring position. During the streak, they cut the strikeout rate with men on base and delivered with 2 outs. I mean, the poster child is Ceddanne. I mean, we talk about what Ceddanne has done from 24 to 25 and now to 26. Again, is this, for you to answer, is this Red Sox team legit? Is this a team that we can expect from August, September, October, November, that they will be a team that will come back and fight and claw their way to wins?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I don't know how they're doing it. They don't have anybody in this lineup that you're scared of. You're a little bit nervous about Contreras. Ceddanne's get hot, but really, there's nobody in the lineup that you can't pitch around, right? So I think they've been scrappy, but how many times is Jahmai Jones going to have a big hit to win a game? You can't count on him in September and October. The small ball's been huge. How many bunts? I've seen them bunt more in the last 2 months than I probably have in the last 20 years. But they're doing all the little things that make to get the wins. You're not afraid of them being down 2 and 3 in the 7th inning because they can come back. I just don't know how the hell they're doing it because there's nobody on this team to be scared of.
Yeah, fair point. For both you guys, I started following the Red Sox sorta in 1990. I was 6 years old. Kind of remember the 1990 Red Sox. 86, I'm too young. But 90, I do remember. I remember getting my first taste of being a Red Sox fan, thinking we could beat the A's and we got swept. I remember the 95 playoffs and onwards. I can't remember a Red Sox team that won a playoff series without a true middle of the order power bat. I guess you can say Contreras is that, but just one, right? There's usually a 3 and 4. That 95 team had Mo Vaughn and Nomar. Nomar was a rookie, and D-Lou had one of his best years. I mean, guys, can you think of a year or any Red Sox series where the Red Sox had a 3 and 4, traditional 3 and 4 hitter in the middle of their lineup that wasn't a power bat?
I mean, let's be clear. This is assuming they do hold on to make the playoffs, which I think, given the state of the AL, is at least a decent thing to assume at this point. This would be the worst offensive Red Sox team to make the playoffs in my lifetime, at least. I mean, I don't, and I don't even think it's close. I mean, even we think back to like the flawed 2021 team, for example. It's like Schwarber, JD Martinez, Devers, Bogart. Like, we had a lot of big bats in that lineup.
Renfroe could hit.
Yeah, I mean, the weakness was more the pitching for that team. And then last year's team, obviously still a flawed offensive team. But I still think with Bregman in there and Roman Anthony healthy, et cetera, like, you felt a little bit more scared of them across the board. Just a little bit, at least bigger names versus this team. To CH's point, like there's really nobody that you're scared of, and we're even throwing Contreras in there as a middle of the order bat. Like any team could have had him in the offseason. Any team could have had him. Like the Cardinals had to eat money to give that guy up to just get some not very good prospects back in return. So like, yes, he's been spectacular this season, way better than anyone could have thought, but this is the best year he's ever had, and he's doing it in his mid-30s. So like, it would not shock me if at any point he sort of fell off a little bit. And I don't even know if I'd still put him in that traditional 3-4 hitter, despite the fact that he has performed that way this year.
DH, what about you? Can you think of a Red Sox team, a playoff team that won a playoff series that did not have two thumpers in the middle of their lineup?
Yeah. I go I go way back. Well, I don't know if it's way back. It's way back to you guys. It's not way back to me because, like you said, John, I've been following this team since I was 6 too, but that was 1975 that I was 6. So I've been following them a long time. But I think 1999, they played the Indians in the 5-game series. And I think they had John Valentin and Nomar and like Troy O'Leary and Brian Daubach was like the middle of the order. Solid players, kind of similar to this year where nobody...
Belleville Basher.
Yeah, exactly.
Belleville Basher, Brian Daubach. Go ahead. Yeah,
but I mean, they didn't have anybody that like... Look, we had Manny and Ortiz back-to-back for such a long time. That's not going to happen again. And this team is far from having Manny and Ortiz. But that's the closest I can come to is those guys probably hit low 20s home runs that year. But again, nobody to be really scared of.
And even that 2013 Red Sox team, you had Ortiz and you had Napoli was on that team, right? Either Napoli or Moreland, or maybe both of them.
It was Napoli.
Yeah,
it was Napoli.
Yeah.
So you, like I said, you had two guys that could slug for 30 plus home runs.
Let's also not forget, I mean, they had Justin Pedroia won an MVP, so like
that's true.
Not exactly a big power guy, but still like he would be by miles the best hitter on the team that we have this year if we had prime Justin Pedroia. So like I don't want to discount him either.
All right, guys. Before we get to the rest of the segments, we'll take a break right here and do what we do every podcast and drink some beers.
Beers, drinking beers, we drink some beers. Big John and Sean. We're drinking beers, we drink some beers. Drinking beers, Big John and Sean.
So I asked CH, I let him know that we drink beers in the podcast. I said, if you want to drink beers, bring a beer. He's the honorary guest. What do you got?
Nice.
Tell us about the beer you got.
I'm a North Shore guy. I'm about 20 minutes north of Boston. So today I've got a North Shore New England Hazy IPA from from True North Ale Company in Ipswich, Mass. Like 15 minutes from here. It's a great go-to beer in the summertime. Nice little hazy IPA.
Nice.
Sean's eyes are lighting up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my kind of beer. You're my kind of guy.
That's his love language. Is IPAs. What do you got, Sean? Tell me the IPA you got.
Yes, I do have one, as I'm sure you could have guessed. I actually think I have done this one before, but it's Greenback's. It's Other Half, which is based out of Williamsburg in Brooklyn, New York. Been to it a handful of times. Got some buddies that live up there, but it doesn't. Double dry hopped IPA doesn't not advertised as hazy, but Other Half is one of those where basically every single IPA they have it ends up being hazy, which is why it's one of my favorite breweries. So. Definitely a good one, and I've had it a couple times.
And I went with a very rare, it's in my Frost Buddy cooler, but I went with a very rare beer. And I had to drink this beer because it was in my fridge. My last beer, I forgot to go out and grab one. I said, whatever, this is a great time to have this beer with you guys. And it's a Corona Extra. And that's what I'm drinking is a Corona Extra because it is the last beer in my fridge. So cheers to you guys.
Gonna have to restock then.
I can give you the flavor profile of a Corona Extra if you guys aren't aware of what it tastes like.
Had a few in my day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know. Corona when I was in college was a good beer to drink. I can't compete with your IPAs, but I'll drink my Corona beer while you guys can have some delicious IPAs. Moving on. I don't want to spend too much on this segment because I do want to talk about the trade deadline as we're also monitoring it live as well. And it's been talked about enough today. Hell, I put a tweet out today that I think about 200,000 views at this point. I'm not even joking. I think I got the tweet right now is at 169,000 views about Tarek Skubal. He went to Los Angeles. We all knew that, that's what happened. It's supposed to happen last night after the Red Sox game. I hit on it earlier on this podcast. Tim Healy laid it out in the Globe hours before the deal went down. And the clubs most linked to Skubal were the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Rays, the Braves, the Phillies, and Cubs. And they did say that Boston might had some interest in him as well, which, surprise, surprise, Boston has interest in everyone.
Interest kings.
Unless he landed in Tampa, he was never going to be Boston's problem. And none of the teams around the Sox in the wild card race were competing for him. So if he was going to go somewhere, it might as well be the National League. And I'll tell you what, and we'll get to the trade. We talk about the trade deadline and guys the Red Sox may be targeting. It also shows, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong on it, that the Tigers are out. The Tigers are going to be sellers, and that means at least Boston has a couple of days to negotiate with the Detroit front office and try to grab one of their players. And again, you saw the Rays wanted to grab a pitcher because they went out today and got Freddy Peralta. So had they landed him, and they definitely had the resources with Tate and Theo Gillen to be able to land Tarek Skubal. The fact that they didn't, it's a sigh of relief for us. Let the National League handle him. Any pushback from you guys on what I just said?
No, I think I agree. I mean, it's always a little annoying seeing these packages that we just mentioned earlier. Like, it feels like every time we trade for someone, it's got to be an overpay just to even make the deal happen. And then you see a deal like this and you're like, not a ton, probably could have topped it. But obviously, depending on what we would have had to give up to get Skubal, I have zero confidence in their ability to re-sign him in the offseason, plus the lingering lockout, et cetera, all of that. So I get why they weren't overly aggressive with it. But to your point, I think that him going to the National League is overall probably a win. If we do end up seeing him, then I think we're all going to be really happy because that means that we're in the World Series. We'll cross that bridge when we get there / if we get there. But otherwise, to your point, yeah, I mean, I think if you can push him out to the NL and make him something that we no longer have to worry about come postseason time, then yeah, that's definitely a win.
DH, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think honestly, it was a perfect situation where not only do we not have to face him at all until late October and November, but he has zero impact on the Red Sox whatsoever because the Dodgers don't even play anybody that the Red Sox are competing against. There's no wild cards, there's no division leaders,
point.
There's no playoff team in the American League that he's even going to pitch against. So it has zero impact on the Red Sox until the World Series. That'll be a nice problem to have. We'll worry about it then.
Perfect. Let's go right into the trade deadline and guys that have been on the Red Sox radar, and I want your guys taking each individual one of them. Andrew Monasterio has been manning shortstop with Trevor Story sidelined since mid-May with a sports hernia. He's not expected back before mid-August at the earliest. I don't want him back ever. That contract is an albatross. We might, out of politics, see him back at some regard. But again, I would hope he doesn't make it back at all this year. The alternative has been Chang, who I like a lot, but Sean tells me Chang isn't that great. But Monasterio has a 741 OPS and 180 plate appearances. But more impressive is his July OPS, which I had to look up. It's 1.044. Incredible. He has been otherworldly. I mean, if you could pull up Junior Caminero, I'm sure it's not that much different between the two of them. That's how good Monasterio is. Look, we're all going to agree. A 1.44 OPS. I might have read it wrong. It might be 1.1. Regardless, neither one. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be the rest of the year he's going to do that. First question I have before we even get into the shortstops, CH, I'll start with you first. Is that what Boston should be targeting at the trade line? Should it be the shortstop, or do we roll with Andrew Monasterio there, or does Andrew Monasterio pivot maybe to second base?
Yeah, I think the question becomes, is the shortstop you're going to go get worth what you could have gotten at a different position? In other words, could you get somebody who's going to get you 10 home runs in the next 2 months or 12 home runs in the next 2 months? Right? It doesn't have to be a shortstop. I think at this point, I'm fine with Monasterio batting ninth and playing very good defense. I don't care what he does at the plate if we go and get somebody who can make up some of that power. I don't know if it's a left fielder. I don't know if it's a DH, but I know it doesn't have to be a shortstop. Don't go get a shortstop just to get a shortstop.
Fair point. Sean, your thoughts? Should they get a shortstop or look somewhere else? If somewhere else, Sean, where are they looking?
I totally agree with CH. I do not think they're in a spot to be nitpicking position. They desperately need a big bat. If it's not shortstop, it's an outfielder, third base, whatever, they should just take what they can get at this point. There's not that many guys in the lineup that are so good that like, oh, well, we can't trade for this really good hitter because then where's Duran going to play? Like, we'll figure that out. You know what I mean? Like, with where we're at, we got to just take the best hitter available. There seems to be a lot of shortstops being rumored. So like, if it's a shortstop, great. But if it's not, if it's a third baseman, Durbin can play second. If it's a second baseman, cool. Heat is out for a while. If it's a left fielder or if it's an outfielder of any kind, they can play left. And then, maybe Duran DHs, maybe they flip Duran. If he could probably just be out of the lineup a little bit more anyway with how poorly he's played. I mean, the DH is still kind of a revolving door. So if it's full-time DH, okay, so be it if they're that good of a hitter. So I just don't think we are in a luxury of a spot enough offensively to be sitting here like, oh, well, it has to be this position. Like we just saw like 2021, I reference, like we got Schwarber. He didn't really have a position to play, but who cared? We figured it out, and he was huge down the stretch, hit some huge home runs in the postseason, and they probably should have re-signed him. So I'm open to a shortstop, but to somebody who plays right field, even though we've got a right fielder, like, so be it. If they're that good, we'll figure it out.
I'm going to call both your guys' bluff. Elly De La Cruz. Elly De La Cruz can come here and batting .279. He's got a OPS of 860 something with 18 home runs through 90 games, under control through 2029, arbitration eligible for the first time in 2027. You heard the early reports from Sean McAdams that he said the Cincinnati Reds wanted early or eligible major league ready young controllable talent. The Red Sox were willing to part with their prospects. That's not a fit as of right now. I don't believe those talks are dead. It's usually not dead. They're usually still ongoing. Whether they find a fit or not, I have no idea. I'm trying to how I want to phrase this. I could go crazy, but I think I know the reaction, but I'll start it off that way anyways. Roman Anthony and some prospects for Elly De La Cruz. Sean, would you do that trade?
No, I would not trade Roman at this point because I think he'd be selling low, and they just signed him to. He's got 9 years of control. Like, I'm gonna at least give him another shot to come back and get healthy because there's a non-zero chance Roman turns into as good of a hitter or a better hitter than De La Cruz. Would I trade other big name prospects for him? Yes, but Anthony is where I would drop him.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out where I go with this one. All right, let's get out Roman Anthony out there. Let's say the Red Sox figured out they were able to move with prospects. Franklin Arias, Witherspoon, Ianson, one of those guys. CH. First of all, give me your thoughts on Elly De La Cruz. Are you an Elly De La Show supporter? Would you want him on this Red Sox team? Is he a guy that's that impact bat that can make this Red Sox team and put him over the top? Or Elly not do it for you?
No, Elly does it for me. He might be the guy that I would be willing to trade Arias for. I think I keep Arias unless it's Elly. And I might be a little bit biased because Elly made me a lot of money stealing bases a couple of years ago. So I'm a little bit biased, but just the excitement he brings an automatic threat to the lineup that they just, like we said in earlier segments, they just don't have. And if you can sandwich him around Contreras and around Willier, I mean, that's a nice little 3-4-5 you could put together there. Roman comes back. Now you got a 2-3-4-5 or a 3-4-5-6. Now we've got a completely different lineup, and it's because you added Elly.
And I agree with you 1,000%. Elly, of all the names that came through, was the one I was the most excited for. That is an absolute impact bat at a young age. I am willing to give up Franklin Arias for it. I'm willing to give up Franklin Arias, and if you want to give him Ianson, Witherspoon, like I'm willing to do it. I mean, after what, again, if the Red Sox have to give up a lot for him, and a lot of people might come out there and say, well, look what the Dodgers gave for Skubal, why the Red Sox gave up so much for Elliott's age, and he's controllable. If I had to knock the guy for anything, is his sprint. So you basically made a lot of money, CH, off him stealing bases. His sprint speed has gone down every year from 30 feet per second down to 28.1. But to be honest with you, I don't care. And that's probably because he's putting muscle on and he's becoming more of a power hitter. So again, we talked about it before in the beginning of the show. When I asked you guys the question, the last time the Red Sox had won a series without having multiple bats in the middle of the lineup, neither of us really could come to the answer. Maybe the 99 Red Sox. Elly solves that problem. Sean, thoughts? Would you be good with the prospects for Elly?
Yeah, I would trade Arias for him for sure. I think we'll go through names. There's definitely a list of guys I would certainly not trade Arias for. But yeah, I think Elly is definitely in that tier of arguably a superstar player. You know, he's very well-rounded, good defender, hits for some power, obviously a a base stealing machine. He does strike out a little bit, but it seems like everybody does, and he'd fit right in on the team there. But yeah, I'm skeptical that they'd move him for Arias and other. I mean, maybe if we gave it Tolley, but like, I also don't think I think I'm at the point now where Tolley's kind of off limits for me as well, just with how good he's been this year and how young he is as well. So does Arias, Witherspoon, Ianson, those three guys get it done? I'm not even totally sure. And then if you got to give any more than that, then at that point, it's like the farm system is like done. That's the move. You don't really have many means otherwise. So I'm taking those reports as more of the Red Sox called and were like, hey, would you consider this? And they were like, yeah, if you gave us Roman Anthony, Peyton Tolley, Franklin Arias, and one more guy. And then they were like, all right, good talk.
Yeah. So. Goodbye. How about IKF? So that's a great segue, Sean. Let's talk about Zach Neto. What's the South Park guy? Something Mag. I forgot what his name is. There's a RotoWare has a shirt collection around Zach Neto. And speaking of guys you would not trade Franklin Arias for, which I hope both of you guys agree with me on this one, is that Rosenthal and Salmon reported Boston views him as a strong fit and chased him last offseason. He's making $4.15 million and he's under club control for 3 more years. The red flags: 31.3% strikeout rate, -8 outs above average, and he has played nothing but shortstop in 4 years. Per Alex Spear, the Angels want Franklin Arias in that deal or any deal involving him, and Passan and McDaniel put his chance of being traded 40%. I'll say it first. Sean, go back to you. Then the UCH. I don't want Neto on the team, period. Like, I don't want to give any of our prospects for him. And I'm a type of guy that preaches all the time, don't fall in love with your prospects. I am not a big Neto guy. I'd like to piss off Angel fans on Twitter and call him a bum. But Sean, and again, you saw some of the tweets that are going out there. If you looked at just the year this year, Curtis Mead, RIP, and Zach Neto, Curtis Mead, his underlying metrics are much stronger than Neto outside of, even defensively, they're not that much different. Again, play different positions. But Sean, done rambling. Neto, thoughts on Zach Neto? I mean, I think both of us can. Let's just say we all agree Franklin Arias is not on the table, but do you want Zach Neto?
Yeah, I've kind of, I don't know, as time has gone on and other names have been thrown around, I've almost kind of, I won't say soured on Neto, but I'm less excited than I was when the name first came up. And it does seem like a lot of the reports are saying that they don't really want to move him unless they're kind of blown away, which I'm personally not inclined to blow them away, just given a lot of his flaws. Yeah, I mean, he's basically younger, healthier Trevor Story at this point, sort of, in terms of just player profile. It strikes out a lot, not a very good defender at short, has some power, but he still has not like a 30-plus home run guy, at least not to this point in his career. But he is still pretty young, and he has been relatively durable over the past few years. So that it certainly would be an upgrade, and it would be someone that would help the lineup overall. But I still don't think he checks the box as like the consistent, proven middle-of-the-order guy that I want, and I know you guys probably want as well. John, we've talked about this a ton, and I'm like, I just want someone who is proven and has done it for 3-4 years, 5-year sample size, that I know I'm getting consistent, like all-star level numbers and, flirting with 30-plus home runs every year. And I don't think he's that guy, but he would certainly help. So he's one of those package-dependent players for me. If we can get him on a deal where I feel like it's like fair and not an overpay, then like I'd be open to it. But yeah, Arias would not be on the table for me, and I'm a little skeptical that the Angels would consider moving him unless they do kind of get over a package that's a little bit of an.
CH, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that since the Red Sox got hot, at the end of June, beginning of July, Neto has 1 home run and 32 strikeouts. So what would that have done to the Red Sox during the month of July? Would have sabotaged several of these games that they won during that 15-game streak. That said, there is a scenario where I include Arias in a package for Neto, and that's if they throw in Mike Trout as well. That's the only way that's going to happen.
Will Mike Trout stay healthy, though?
Well, will Trevor Story? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, but fair. But Trout won't come, as you know. Trout will.
No, of course not.
He wants to stay on the West Coast as it is. I know that's what we've all been lusting over, Trout coming here for playoff run, but for whatever reason, he wants to stay in.
Yeah,
where are they? They're not even in LA. They're in Anaheim, right?
Anaheim.
Yeah. So whatever there is about Anaheim, I've never been. I don't know if you guys have been. He likes Anaheim for some reason.
Probably will never go
to Anaheim to see an Angels game, which I've never been to that park too.
I haven't been.
I
I've been to Dodger
No,
Stadium, but not there.
I remember when that park was like when it was Cleveland, the Cleveland Angels, right? I'm sorry, California Angels. I don't want to say Cleveland. California Angels. No, I'm sorry, California Angels. And then they renovated the park circa like 2000, somewhere around there. They put the waterfall out there and everything, but the park's still dumb from what I see. Park was a dump in the early 90s too. I mean, CH, you remember who was it? Sam Horn? Or Don Baylor? Who hit the home run off of what's his name? Who killed himself?
Off of Donnie Moore? It was Dave Henderson.
Dave Henderson.
Don Baylor did hit a home run right before Henderson did.
Okay, maybe that's why I'm getting blurred together. See, when you get to my age, Sean, everything just blends together. I do remember that. Anyways, Zach Neto, I think we both agree on it. That all three of us agree on it. Zach Neto's not a guy for Franklin Arias. Again, he's a guy that worries me because strikeout rates, play wise, guys. Am I crazy to say he's not that much different than Jarren Duran? Except he's got a little more power than Duran. Like it's kind of the same. Like Red Sox fans are frustrated with Duran. Take Duran's off the field antics, the way he shows up players, but look at just his production on the field. If you're not happy with Jarren Duran, you're kind of getting the same exact thing with Neto. They're not much different. Is that a fair comparison?
Like, sort of, but what I will say is that you said except he hits more home runs, and like that's what the team desperately needs.
Much.
So like, I mean, 2019 this year, like Duran has only hit 20 plus one time, and he's about to do it 3 years in a row. So I'm just saying that like if there was one thing that was like the one thing that he's better than Duran at, that's the thing that you'd want. So I hear you, and a lot of the frustration still probably would be there with his strikeouts and whatnot, and the average is pretty low this year. But I just mean that like, look, he would be one of the only him and Contreras are the only two that are going to flirt with 30 home runs this year. And so like if we can get anybody that's even in that range, I think it's still a win. So
I just don't know that you can put Neto and Duran in the same line.
That's what I think. We were frustrated last year with the strikeouts with men in scoring position with Duran. You're going to get that with Neto. You're going to get that, especially if he comes up in a big situation with extra innings, which they struggled with mightily last year. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, but to Sean's point, all you need is for him to get hot in a playoff series. And he's the type of guy like Gino Suarez that when hot could carry you. But I agree. I mean, I don't want either one of them in the same lineup. So I agree. Moving on to CJ Abrams. We saw García get traded today for the Nationals. They've already got Meade for the Red Sox. Per Buster Only, Washington is in listen mode, but the asking price is high enough that a deal before Monday is very unlikely. A source familiar with their thinking says they will not move him absent of an overwhelming offer. The Yankees, Brewers, and Red Sox have all been linked. CJ Abrams is one hell of a bat. Defensively, he's got feet for hands, which we know Breslow is someone who values defensive runs saved. Yet he surprised me with the Curtis Meade trade.
Yeah, I was going to say, he just got Curtis Meade and certainly
who's
doesn't check
average,
that box.
but he's average, right? He's average. Abrams is atrocious. So,
well, Meade doesn't even really have a position, but
I mean, do either one of you guys think the Red Sox are going to be able to grab him? Is there any possibility?
I don't know if the Nationals are really going to move him. I think he's probably going to stay put. However, I will say this. He is someone that I probably would give up Arias for personally. Like, I just think as good as he is still only 25 years old. He's got basically 2.5 years of control after this. The offensive production is just too overwhelming for me to like a 25-year-old shortstop that's got 28 homers, 80 leads the NL in RBIs, almost batting 300 in today's day and age is like very impressive. So like, I just think there's traits with some of the other guys. This guy's putting together a complete offensive season. He doesn't strike out at the rate of some of the other guys as well. So like, I just think if you put him in the lineup, he's a really legit bat. And I like that he's young too. You know, if he was 28, 29, probably on the decline, I would be less inclined, but because he's still only 25 and, you know, presumably there's room for him to continue to get better. Like, this is his best year by far, but it makes sense because he is reaching his quote unquote prime years. I hear you on the defense thing. He's probably not shortstop long term, but we don't have a second baseman long term. We don't really have a third baseman long term either. So if he switches positions, that's totally fine. I don't really care that much. We can shuffle guys around as we see fit. Like, again, as I said at the jump, like, I'm less concerned position wise, but I personally, Abrams would be my number one on my wish list, assuming that something like Elly is not feasible.
So CH, here's what I'm gonna do with you. Gun to your head, and it could be Abrams if you want it to be. I want you to answer 2 questions for me. Are the Red Sox going to trade for a middle infielder? If so, who is it?
I think they will, but I don't think it's going to be an impact guy. I don't think it's going to be any of the top 6 or 8 guys we're thinking of. I think it's going to be like an IKF type of player who's going to be a role player. He's going to be a backup. He'll rotate with Monasterio or something like that. Personally, I would love to take CJ Abrams and teach him how to play left field. I mean, that can be a solution for the next, for the next 3 years, and then who knows what you do with him beyond that. But honestly, I just don't think there's a guy we're going to get a passing text message, at 5:55 tomorrow that's going to be like, holy shit, I can't believe they made this deal. It's not going to be. It's going to be just another, well, this is what Craig does at the deadline type deal.
That's a great point about Abrams in left field. Ian Desmond, came from the Nationals too. Same thing, right? They played him. Was it Rockies that put him in left field, or was it the Nationals? Who put him in left field? Was it the Rockies?
I think it was Texas. Didn't he go to Texas before he went to Colorado? Or am I making that up?
I don't know. Someone put him in left field, but he was with the Nationals for a while. For very similar to Abrams. Not very good defensively at second base or shortstop. I think they might have played at first base for a little bit. Eventually made his way to the outfield. So that's a very, very good point. I'm going to tell you right now who I think they're going to grab. This is my prediction. It's Gleyber Torres. And maybe that falls into what you're saying, CH, about it's not someone that's going to rock. But I think Gleyber Torres, and a lot of Red Sox fans have a very nasty taste in their mouth, because if you follow the Yankees, which we all have, and I live very close to New York City, so I listen to the fan a lot, Yankee fans hated Gleyber Torres. He didn't hustle. He felt like his head was in it half the time. But hear me out on Gleyber Torres, right? He is a guy, he's a right-handed bat that the Red Sox desperately need. And he's the type of guy that'll be a free agent next year. I said in the beginning of the podcast that Detroit is in sell mode. So he's 100% available. And let me paint the picture for you guys. It's Game 7 of the World Series. Tarek Skubal's on the mound. We're in Dodger Stadium. It's a 4-4 game. Bottom of the ninth. No one on base. And Gleyber Torres gets up to bat against his former teammate and hits the game-winning home run. And that's why, how can you not get romantic about baseball? And it writes like a movie. I get it. You guys are like, Gleyber Torres, but could Gleyber Torres be our David Justice? I say that because the Yankees was in 2000, whenever it was, when they won the World Series. It was the trade that no one thought was going to take them over the edge. And it was David Justice, a guy that had been past his prime. What are your guys' thoughts on Gleyber Torres? CH, what are your thoughts on Gleyber Torres?
He doesn't do it for me. He just doesn't. I'd see him striking out against Skubal in that top of the ninth before I see him, making an impact. He just doesn't do it for me.
Sean?
He's fine. Another package dependent one. Like, if they give up scraps for him, then sure, why not? He'd rather have him than not. But like, they gave up a top 100 guy for him, that would be like total disaster in my opinion.
And I don't think they'll have to, because
I don't think they will either, agent, but you never know with Craig.
Yeah.
You never know with Craig.
He comes to the training tent like, all right, so what do you want to do for Gleyber Torres? And Craig goes, well, we'll start with Justin Gonzalez. And they're like, well, okay, just fine. Good, sold. Kind of like the James Tibbs from last year. But again, CH, I'm going to ask you this. Like, he doesn't do it for you, but is he an upgrade over what they have at second base right now? As much as Tony Siegel's is a feel-good story, Curtis Mead's hurt. We don't know if he's going to come back or not. If you get Gleyber Torres for a song and a dance, does he not, especially with the Green Monster being in left field, does he not make this team a better team? Are they not more dangerous? Do they not have more depth and teeth in their lineup?
Yeah, it depends on what you're giving up for them at that point. I mean, if it's a throwaway deal for them, and they could give away a couple of low end prospects, or they only get him for a couple months, right? And then he's going to walk next year. They're probably not going to bring him back next year. So sure, if you want to rent him for a couple months for a low end deal, take a flyer on him. Why not? Can he fill time until Curtis Mead is able to play? Who knows? But
correct.
Yeah.
You could DH him on certain occasions, right? You can move him with him and Yoshida. But let me ask you guys this, though. Do you guys feel like Roman Anthony's coming back? Gun to your head, is Roman Anthony going to be healthy and effective? I think he'll come back this year. The bigger question for both you guys, Sean, I'll start with you first. Is Roman Anthony going to be effective in 2026?
Kind of impossible. Who knows? I don't. I obviously, if he can play, you bring him back, because the upside is just undeniable, and the offense needs upside. At the very least, he's a good at-bat that gets on base and walks and has a good eye and doesn't strike out like a lot of the other guys. So obviously you take him if he's back. I think he probably will play again this season. I don't know. The communication from them is so bad that like we're kind of just throwing darts at this point. So, but yeah, I mean, regardless of how he's going to play, like, you throw him out there. He's supposed to be your best hitter to start the season. You can't just, like, even if he struggles, like, you got to ride him in.
But he's got to be 100% healthy. He's got to be. He can't be 90% at his age to take a risk and a flyer on a guy that you can send him back to a guy that I'm being concerned about that I think might be injury prone. CH, is he coming back and effectively coming back?
Well, it's two different questions. He's probably going to come back, but I don't know how effective he's going to be. Keep in mind, he was hitting 229 when he got hurt. I mean, he wasn't hitting 292 like he did last year. He's hitting 229. That's a big drop. And he, quite honestly, he didn't look good. After the WBC, he did not look good this year. He looked off. He looked confused. He looked lost at the plate. Now, he's had 3 months off. He's probably going to have another couple of weeks off at least before he gets in a lineup. Did that change anything? Did sitting on the bench and watching, because he's been with the team a lot, has being on the sideline given him any different perspective, not playing every day? It could make a huge difference. But he could also come back and hit 229 for the last 6 weeks of the season and be a hole in the lineup.
That's a great point. You know, the one thing that was really, Sean and I talked about earlier in the podcast that was very concerning about Roman Anthony was this was a guy that had amazing plate discipline, and we were watching him just be in his own head where balls right down the middle he was taking for strike 3 and swinging for things out of the plate. He didn't know if he'd be patient or to be aggressive. So you wonder if that 3 months of sitting on the bench and just clearing his own head out might actually be to his advantage. I don't know either, guys. I have no idea.
And also the coaching staff changes that have taken place. I mean, there was a lot of adjustment to the new hitting coaching staff, and maybe he would react differently to the new coaches. Who knows? He could go back to hitting 292.
Does Garrett Crochet come back?
Ever?
Does Garrett Crochet come back like Chris Sale came back and we see him in a bullpen role in the playoffs? Pedro-esque bullpen role as well, for those that are old enough. Go ahead, Sean.
I don't think he'll be back this year. And to your point, like even if he's healthy enough to come back towards the playoffs, it's like, I don't know how you could possibly ask him to ramp up and throw 7 innings in a postseason game that quickly. Like, so I don't know. I feel like they'll just reset him for next year, and I'm honestly okay with that just because of you don't want to mess with the arm stuff, especially when he's still only 27, and then the rotation's been so good. So like I have some worries of like we've got a lot of good guys in the rotation and nobody that I would still call like the surefire set it and forget it number 1 ace or anything like that, but top to bottom that has been the least of their worries. So I'd rather them just kind of like add another depth starting pitcher just in case. But other than that, I don't know if he's going to.
But I'm worried about arm fatigue, and this is where I'm going to go with you, CH. I'm worried about arm fatigue on these young guys. Totally last night, I know they got the win, and Totally has some big strikeouts, but he looks rusty. He has looked rusty. Jake Bennett, his velocity started to go down. These guys have not put these large innings in, the work in. They're going to ask him to also pitch in, pitch in October as well. That's what I'm worried about. CH, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think is that a fair concern? Do the Red Sox need to address their starting pitcher just to give these guys some rest?
Yeah, I think I've been waiting for Tole to have a bad outing. Just because of fatigue. I keep thinking he's tired. Last night he comes out and I'm thinking he's going to be tired. He's not going to do so well. He didn't look very good the first couple innings, but then he powered through, right? And he looked pretty good. So I think we're going to run into a problem unless they can figure out how to get these guys fewer innings or more rest in between. They intentionally gave Tole a lot of time during the All-Star break. I think he went 8 days without pitching, if I remember right.
And Gray too. Look, Sonny Gray last year, he had a 5+ ERA after the All-Star break. We watched 2 starts in a row right now where Gray had with 2 outs, but he looked rusty. Gray needs some time off too. This pitching staff needs to be fresh by the time they get to October.
And I think that's what could happen is, does Crochet come back? Let's say he comes back September 1st and he can throw 4 or 5 innings for 5 starts. How do you feel about Crochet starting a game and then Bayo picking up after him? Sure. You get 9 innings from the 2 of them.
Yeah. I'll throw another name out there, Tanner Houck.
I knew someone. I'm waiting for Tanner Houck to come out. Look, Sean. I agree with you. If Tanner Houck, but I feel like it might be like Patrick Sandoval all over again. But if Tanner Houck can come out this year and just give them the ability to maybe Bennett goes 3 innings. Or
2-3 innings here and there.
And let Houck take over for a couple, especially if you've already clinched or you feel like you're pretty confident about winning a wild card spot and nothing else is in play for you, just to be able to give some length on your team. I'm fine with that as well. Like, those are the guys that might come back to be X factors on this team, because if this Red Sox team is going to make a deep run in the playoffs, I think we all agree they're not going to make a big splash during the trade deadline. This pitching staff, which has carried them so far to this day, is going to need to continue to carry, which means they need to be fresh. They got to be fresh. They got to be. So I agree with everything you guys are saying. With 10 minutes left in the show, CH, thanks again for joining us tonight. Pleasure to have you. I do want to throw out, because Sean and I talked about last podcast, that the position, if you're at least you believe in weighted runs created, the one the Red Sox were the weakest at is catcher. And Connor Wong showed some life. Carlos Narvaez looks awful at the plate, but he's a hell of a bunter, if that counts for anything. And with these Red Sox, I guess it does. There's been the throw out about Xavier Edwards, Otto Lopez, and Liam Hicks. What if the Red Sox just get Liam Hicks? He's a guy that's batted .279 and 14 home runs, 60 RBIs. That is a deal that actually fixes this roster. And per Jeff Passan, the combined cost may be more than Boston's comfortable for paying for Xavier and Otto, but they're open to dealing anyone. So CH, they can't stand pat. I think we all agree with that. 105 runs is 28th in baseball. I know they played well recently. They've gone from averaging 2 runs a game up to 5.4 during this streak. Contreras concussion protocol. Mead is out until September. Duran has 64 weighted runs created plus. This is a playoff team with one functioning power bat and Ceddanne Rafaela, and then one functioning power bat got hit in the head on Friday. What are your thoughts on Liam Hicks?
So I don't understand how catcher became a problem after the season Narvaez had last year. I mean, he was the captain. He really was. He was a captain last year, and he did everything you wanted him to do, and he's done the complete opposite of that this year. I mean, who thought in the offseason that we'd be looking forward to Connor Wong coming to the plate instead of Narvaez? I mean, it's been ugly behind the plate. That said, I like Liam Hicks. I think he solves a couple of problems. He gives you an everyday catcher. He gives you somebody with a little bit of pop, somebody who gets on base. I don't know how well he handles the staff. I haven't looked that closely at him, but I know what he does at the plate, and I think it's a huge upgrade. I don't know who you lose in that scenario. Do you go with Hicks and Wong? Do you go with Hicks and Narvaez? You're not going to go with Narvaez, Wong, Mickey Gasper situation again and carrying three catchers. So somebody's going to go. But I do like the Liam Hicks deal if you can do it without giving up Arias.
I will say, Sean, when I go to you, we've talked about before. I think it was speaking of Don Baylor, when he was the manager of the Houston Astros. The Astros had the ability, or they were close to getting a trade where they were going to get Salvador Perez, and Perez was willing to waive his no trade clause and maybe go to Houston. But Baylor, right, said to the general manager at the time, and I forgot who it was for Houston at the time, he said, I want to run with Victor Caterini, whoever the catcher was at the time. I can't say his name, the catcher they've had for a while. And the reason behind it is because if disrupting a pitching staff with a new catcher can actually be detrimental. If you don't know, it's a huge risk to take. This guy's been, if you had a catcher for most of the year handling the pitching staff and understands what the pitching staff throws and knows what pitches they like, and there's a comfortability between the pitcher and the catcher, to bring a new catcher in, there is a learning curve behind it. So a lot of managers are against it, which is why you don't normally see a lot of times a catcher being upgraded. I say all that, Sean, to get what your opinion is. Do the Red Sox go after Liam Hicks? Is that the guy, the sneaky guy that fixes this team?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree a little bit. I'm not super in on Hicks personally. From what you just, well, to your point, I do think that coming in this late in the season, not even midseason, like after midseason, this late, heading for a postseason run and trying to command a pitching staff is a challenge in itself. But he's also a below average defensive catcher as is. I believe that the Marlins split time with him playing first base and DHing and catching. So he's not even an everyday catcher right now, if we're being honest about it, which to me means, he's probably going to need to play games at DH or whatever. And so I'm like, if we're going to go for a guy that's can't be the everyday catcher like that, then I'd rather us just go for a different position of need if he's going to have to play a DH here and there anyway. Also, his, the numbers aren't bad this year. Obviously, 282 average, 14 homers, but the baseball savant page is a lot of blue. He doesn't strike out a lot. That's kind of the one thing that he's got going for him there. But like 14th percentile barrel rate, 7th percentile hard hit rate, 5th percentile average exit velocity. So I think that the underlying numbers suggest that he's probably overperforming from a just raw counting stats perspective. You put that together with the defense and how it's not great, and the fact that they're probably, because of his team control situation, they might have to pay a decent price for him. I don't know. I mean, again, the caveat for all of these conversations is if it's cheap, then sure, why not? But I just kind of think like if that's their big move, I think there's 10 dudes I'd rather them go out and get. You know what I mean? I don't think his offense is so good that it makes me want to overlook the defense and overlook the fact that he's got to not play catch every day and all that stuff. So sure, he'd be an offensive upgrade, but I think there's real question marks, and there's just other guys I'd rather them go for as their like bigger move.
Red Sox finished and sweep the Dodgers today. I'm calling it right now. After they sweep the Dodgers, I have two questions for you guys. Start with you first, CH. When the game is over, do we see a move tonight from the Red Sox after the game's finished? Yes or no?
I think we see a move. I don't think it's going to blow us away.
Okay, Sean.
I think it'll be tomorrow, but it'll be something. They'll do. I mean, they're not going to do nothing else. You know, I mean, even in the years where they were in like a worse position than they are right now, they've made a move or two. And of course, you could say, well, they already made one with Curtis Mead, but with him being out, it's essentially kind of a wash with that uncertainty there. So I think it's more likely they make two moves than it is that they make zero. But I think the magnitude of the move is still very up for debate. I don't particularly trust the front office at the trade deadline. They haven't performed super well, and they've had some panic overpays. They've had we miss out on plan A, plan B, plan C, and then we get a little disappointed with plan E. So I hope that they've at least got their bases covered a little bit more and have backup plans for if they can't get some of their top targets. So we will see. But let me throw one other thing out. I will say is that the state of the AL is so like tough right now that I actually do think like if there was going to be a year where they kind of just like said like screw it and maybe overpaid and like for a guy or two to really go for it. Like I know this isn't the best Red Sox team that we've seen over the past 15 years or anything, but like the AL could not be more wide open. If the Rays are the biggest threat, then consider me not super afraid of them. I know they just got Freddy Peralta. He hasn't been very good this year, but like they're not a juggernaut or anything like that that's scaring me. The Yankees, obviously, I think are more talented on paper when everyone's healthy, but they are very not healthy. You know, I don't even know when Judge is coming back. Stanton's barely played this season. Bellinger's out now. Like they've got a lot of question marks on their offense, and it's not like they are a perfect offensive team even when all those guys are healthy, just with the strikeouts and stuff. So the AL is really open. So given how they're playing, it really is an opportunity for them to try to maybe go for it and push all the chips in. But obviously only if the semi-right deal is there. I'm okay with a little bit of an overpay if we're getting like a guy, like a legit guy. But I just can't live with the B+ guy that we add and have to give up the top prospects.
I still have two questions for you guys. I'm going to have three. Actually, Sean, I kind of agree with you. I think, and CH, actually both you guys, I think a trade happens today, and I think a trade happens tomorrow. And I'll tell you, the trade I think it happens tomorrow is Jarren Duran gets dealt. CH, does Duran get dealt before the trade deadline?
I'd be surprised, and I don't know what you're going to get for a return for him. You might get that, IKF type guy to come back
Sean?
for him, but
Yeah. Sean, does he get traded?
I lean no, and I think if he does, it is a counter move for like they add an outfielder and then also trade him. I don't think they're just going to trade him because then who's playing left field? Yoshida?
Well, that's why I wouldn't be surprised if it's like maybe for George Springer. Maybe it's him and someone else for Springer. Like,
yeah, but even
happening.
Look, first of all, I'm very on board for Springer. I think he would be a good ad because he wouldn't be that expensive. He's like
free agent next year, like 38 years old.
Yeah, I know he's old and he's an expiring deal, but I don't think we want him playing left field is kind of what I was going to say also. I think he would probably be DHing more often than not. So I think you could add Springer and still keep Duran.
And then the last question I have for you guys before we close this show out is, and Sean, I'll start with you. Go reverse order. Let CH have the last word on this one. Actually, I'll start first, and then we'll go Sean and then CH. Give me the guy that you feel confident the Red Sox are going to deal for tomorrow. I'll go first. I really do believe it's Gleyber Torres because I want that Game 7 in Los Angeles, Skubal versus Torres home run, and then cue up the Field of Dreams music. Sean, who's it for you?
I don't know if I can confidently pick a guy, but what I will say is I think they're going to trade for someone that.
You can't give me a cop out.
No. Listen. No. I was going to say it's going to be someone that none of us we haven't talked about at all. I think Craig's going to go into left field and get somebody that we have not discussed on this podcast, that we haven't talked about
discussed
today,
everybody.
That's not in the rumor realm.
We've
That's what I'm saying.
Jeff
I think it's going to be somebody else.
We've discussed Jeff Fry. There hasn't been a guy that hasn't been discussed. Sean, you have to give me a name. Just give me one name. Pick it out of a hat.
Then I think CH.
Go random. No, go, I want you. I'm going to hold
I'll go
this.
Springer. I'll go Springer.
Okay.
And I'd be happy with
CH.
that. I like Springer.
Randy Rodriguez, reliever out of San Francisco. That's how
Okay.
underwhelming the deal is going to be. Just some middle reliever that they go get.
If they do trade for, as we know that San Diego has loved Duran, that guy Bradley Rodriguez, that could be a guy they could trade Duran for. Very possible. But I agree with you, CH. Might be something underwhelming like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Or a couple of underwhelming ones. They've got some holes they got to fill up. So deadline close. Let's wrap this up. Deadline closes Monday at 6 p.m. Boston opens a homestand Tuesday against the White Sox, who lead the AL Central at 58 and 52. And they just added Luis Castillo, who the Red Sox tried to grab last year. If I remember correctly, I think Duran was in talks for him from Seattle. Next episode, Sean and I will react to whatever Breslow did or did not do with the new guy already in the lineup or with nobody new at all, which that by itself is going to be his own episode. Thank you guys for listening. Please like and subscribe for wherever you're listening to. And have a good night and enjoy the Red Sox sweep of the Dodgers. Take care, everybody.